Hello everyone, welcome to an exciting cast of Chair League. Tonight we have a Pro Division cast. Oops, I gotta change my title here. We have Miasma eSports versus R2. Now R2 is a team I followed all throughout their placements, and then they got dropped into the Pro Division, so I couldn't follow them anymore. But now apparently I've been promoted, so I can do it again. So I'm very excited, and it looks like they're 3-0 in the Pro Division, so they're doing very well. They're a team that really wants me to mention their hair a lot, so I will. Here, Shrimpy has nice hair, and so does Ray Ryan. So we have a new draft team, or draft setup, looks like specifically for Chair League, so that's exciting too. And so we'll see what happens. So R2's map pick was Infernal Shrines this week, so we see them. So the Miasma is going to get first pick. Miasma is 4-2 so far in the Pro Division this season. So I think I casted one of their games once, but I don't remember anything about it, unfortunately. So hope everyone's doing well tonight. It's Monday night, start of the week, so exciting times. This draft interface is already looking nicer than normally Top Drafter does. Maybe this is only for Pro Division. Is this what Pro Division feels like? This is like the executive bathroom of drafting. So we'll see what happens. So Zool is the first ban on Infernal Shrines. Of course, he's a very powerful specialist who can take care of 2 lanes. It's even worth it to keep him out of the first shrine phase and have him put pressure on the lanes and soak up experience instead of getting the Immortal. He can often just do more structural damage than the first Immortal can. So, and we see Zarya finally made it into Top Drafter. Oh, that's exciting. Actually, I guess this isn't even Top Drafter, I guess. Or is it? I have no idea. This is like a totally new thing. Okay, our links seem to be for Chair League, so maybe Chair League has its own drafting screen now. Okay, so Zarya first pick. She's still a very powerful hero, but usually we see Malfurion being the first pick, so maybe teams have decided that Malfurion isn't as great anymore now that he's been nerfed. We see Sylvanas counterband, another specialist. Of course, the power of the Punishers with the Sylvanas is immeasurable. Well, I mean, it can be measured, obviously, but you can double or triple the kind of lifespan of your Immortal. And then we see Vala being the first pick from R2. Vala is very stable DPS pick, kind of like the Muradin of range DPS. You can kind of expect a very stable damage output from her every game, and she doesn't have the best sustain early on. She gets her lifesteal pretty late at level 13, but she should still do okay. Of course, with her multi-shot, she can clear up shrine minions quite well. And she'll have a lot of things to shoot at safely to build up her and keep her hatred stacks, which is very important. One way to tell good Valid players from poor Valid players is how they can manage their hatred stack management. And now we see Oriole being the second pick, a good pairing with Vala. Of course, Vala is like I just said, a very consistent DPSer, so they'll keep giving Oriole all that energy with the burst. If Vala goes for the multi-shot build, the level 4 multi-shot talent will end up giving her a lot of burst damage when she fires it off with a lot of hatred stacks, so that gives Oriole a lot of energy all at once. We see Tychus. Now, on this map, even before Odin was buffed, we saw Odin picked only on this map for Tychus, and now that it has been buffed, I would expect to see nothing else from Tychus. And this also kind of preempts a double tank composition, which is very common. So if R2 does choose to go double tank, they're already picking it into a Tychus, which is very dangerous. Of course, Tychus can shred tanks, especially the ones with high health pools like Diablo, Muradin. tanks like that. Muradin, of course, being one of the most common tanks now. ETC being banned a lot as well. So, okay, so you see Kerrigan, another very popular pick from before even all the changes. She was kind of first pick on this map before all the changes. But now she gets a Zarya shield to help her as well. If they also pick another saving person like Tassadar or something like that, they can really go, she can really just go ham, go all in. Of course, she can always jump out with her Ravage resets, jump all around the shrine, jump in, jump out, bait out spells. She becomes very elusive, kind of like more like an Illidan. And much like an Illidan, she reaches a point in a fight where you just can't kill her anymore, so we'll look for her to do a lot of work on this map. Malfurion is finally the ban from R2. Surprised he made it to the second ban, so that hasn't happened in a couple of weeks. So, but you know, they already have their Oriole, so they don't need Malfurion. And then Falstad being the ban from Miasma. The global presence, of course, is very good on this map. It's a very large map. They still have their healer pick open, so they can still pick Brightwings for their mobility, whereas R2 is kind of stuck now. They can't pick up a mobility hero, so I really like how Miasma is kind of manipulating the draft so far. Very well done. Johanna is a very good clearing hero. This map, much like Zul, how he can get laning pressure, Johanna can kind of do the same, obviously not to the same degree. She can't do 2 lanes by herself kind of thing, and not nearly as fast. So she can clear up the lane minions pretty well though. Ever since her Knight Takes Pawn became baseline, she has seen a resurgence. And now we have Zeratul. Zeratul is a very interesting pick. A very interesting tool in terms of having a pseudo-global. When you're out of kind of global options, Zeratul becomes a pseudo-global pick where, you know, because he could be anywhere on the map, you kind of have to play like he's in your lane if he doesn't show himself. So that results in lanes having to be safer, and if they're not safe on the solo lanes, then they can get ganked. So, and like a gank right before the shrine phase, for example, is very detrimental. And maps, big maps like Dragonshire or like Infernal Shrines, that pseudo global presence from Zeratul really helped out. Of course, he is a bit better on something like Dragonshire because the rotations are so much more important, but still perfectly fine on this map. So I really kind of like that pick from R2. Okay, so now we see another global hero in ETC, at least once he gets his heroic. We've seen that since his buffs, every ETC I've casted, I think, has taken Stage Dive instead of Mosh Pit, and it was kind of viable on big maps, like once again on like Dragonshire and this map before, but now that, you know, Mosh Pit, a lot of people kind of have Mosh Pit counters. You've got Reign of Vengeance, you've got Johanna, who is kind of the ultimate anti-Mosh Pit hero. You can probably, but they do pick up Uther with Divine Shield. Now, Void Prison can delay it. It won't save anyone really, because the Divine Shield doesn't tick down during Void Prison. So there's some strange interactions here, and we'll see what everybody goes for. But you've got the Divine Mosh combo going on. But if ETC takes Stage Dive, that opens up the Divine Shield to still go on Kerrigan, which is much better. And we see a Lost Vikings last pick coming out from R2. Oh, I like this. You can see that the lane pressure from Miasma isn't that great. So, they're gonna play in the lane pressure game, force Miasma to try to get a pick before going to shrines, or else they're gonna lose a lot to just minions damaging their structures. And once again, this will come back to execution. I think the drafts are very even. Both teams have a game plan that can win. I would say Miasma has an easier time executing their comp as long as they don't fall too far behind. Kerrigan has a lot of protection. They have just a mean, super mean Shrine fighting lineup compared to R2. If they're just fighting straight up, I think Miasma should win the Shrine fights. So R2's plan is to split them up with Vikings and Zeratul. You try to send one person after the Vikings. Zeratul might be there, Vala might be there, Johanna might be there to try and stop you from killing the Vikings, or at least, you know, get a beneficial trade, and then from there get the lane pressure. You might win the first 2 Immortals, but they might get more forts than you. So it'll be very interesting to see if R2 can pull off a much more strategical game than oh, it looks like we lost a player. So we have to re-invite them. So let me know which team you think has the better draft for Infernal Shrines, and who you think is going to win. Of course, R2, like I said, is undefeated in the Pro Division, so you kind of expect them to be able to execute this kind of lineup. Alright, and here we go. We are loading into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is a Pro Division cast between Miasma eSports and R2. And R2 is 3-0 in their division, and Miasma eSports is 4-2. And here's where I would read the abouts from each team. R2 unfortunately didn't fill out their about section in their Cheer League page, so nothing to read there. But for Miasma eSports, they say, we're Miasma eSports and we're formed on January 21st, 2016. The team manager is Renal. Should you have any inquiries, message Renal or DM the Miasma eSports Twitter page. But they don't give what the Miasma eSports Twitter page is. Alright. Here we go. On Miasma eSports team, we have Axe Maxta on Kerrigan, Swollen on ETC, Fox on Tychus, Starbadar on Uther, and I think that's Tancho on Zarya. On R2, we have the Turk on Vikings, Ray Ryan on Zeratul, Shrimpe on Oriole, Tips and Tricks on Johanna, and Saber on Vala. Alright, here we go. So no West Side Story fight here. They're just splitting up with the Vikings. Once again, I feel like... Oh, sorry, I gotta change the sound settings here. Just 1 second. There we go. I feel like R2 doesn't want to get into the 5-on-5 fights. And it looks like there are 2 Vikings up here. I guess they don't really need one on the bottom since they're down there. So, oh, nice 3-person combo by Kerrigan, and it looks like no one's gonna go down. But in a battle of attrition, they're getting much more benefit out of this. Nice combo by Kerrigan coming out of there, and. Oh, ETC with a nice stun, isolating Johanna. Johanna used her trade already, so she's got to be a bit more careful. Zeratul blinks out just in time, and it looks like actually it's Tychus that's going to go down. What a fight, actually. Usually you don't see level 1 fights lasting that long, I guess, so well played by both teams. And all the meanwhile, of course, Vikings are soaking, so we see quite a bit of almost half a level already. By R2, and like I said, this is the game they want to play. This is how they want to play this game. They want to get the lane pressure, get the XP advantage, so that coming into Shrine fights they can actually fight if they need to. Yeah, it looks like Zeratul is isolated. Of course, Zeratul is super squishy. Without his blink, he just can't get out, so... looking at the level 1 talents, nothing too surprising coming out. Wave of Light from Uther looks like he's going to W build. And Feel the Heat from Zarya. That's an interesting one. I don't think I've seen that one taken before. Usually you see to the max. Oh, looks like one of the Vikings get picked off. It looks like they're trying to get the Vikings off the map before they start the shrine, which is very smart because otherwise they're gonna have to deal with them. Looks like they just send another one down here though, so, and they don't need one in the top lane because they're already in the top lane, so very well played by R2 so far, splitting up the resources very well. That power slide right through the choke there. Oriel is in a lot of trouble. They can't focus fire her though. Johanna, like the best healing tank in the game. Look at Shrimpy's positioning, just kiting them all around, buying as much time as possible. That was really well done, so that they can't get more kills off of that than they would have. I think Ray Ryan, is very dangerous, yeah. Without your healer, you know you can't fight anyway. But they need to try and stall this as much as possible for the Vikings to do work. Unfortunately, they're kind of giving up all their advantage by doing this. You can see that they don't really have an XP lead anymore with that tower going down. So we're gonna have to... Like I said, they have... I need to put on my do not disturb. How do I do that? Anyway, yeah, they have the harder to execute lineup, so they got to be a little bit more cleaner about that ETC separation. You know, he can just slide right through, and he can do that more than once. It looks like they did send some... They tried to pressure the Vikings off of some other maps, so... they kind of gave up a bit of their shrine advantage and gave up a couple of kills. Now we see the level 7 advantage is going to go back to R2. It looks... With Kerrigan and ETC, of course, they do have really good ganking heroes, so I'm surprised they kind of sent Tychus out. And then left Kerrigan to die, so... This Punisher should get not much value, maybe... Yeah, it's focusing on the fort, so it's not going to get that. And meanwhile, we see the Vikings stay... Oh, I was going to say they were staying safe, but... One of them gets taken down just as I say that. They take the spin to win at level 7, Eric the Swift at level 4, and then of course Viking Bribery. So very standard Vikings build coming up. We see Eternal Retaliation, and the Crusade marches on. So no movement speed on the Condemn at level 7 despite taking the level 4 Condemn talent. And Righteous Smash for the sustain. Oh, Zeratul barely gets out. Nice 4-man Condemn from Johanna to save her. Oriel ends up healing him up so he can come back for another combo, but it looks like Johanna goes down, and so does Zeratul, just kind of caught in the crossfire. Wow, nice burst from Miasma there. And they're dealing with the Vikings problem really well. You can see Vikings hasn't given them an advantage. So this Vikings pick not really working out in terms of the overall game plan. With the Vikings team, you really need to be ahead at this point. Their job is to get you level 10 first, kind of for the first half of the game. So, Oriel gets picked out. Nice combo again by Kerrigan. That was just super well done all around. Just baiting Tychus in first and then following up with the stuns. Can they get Uther in exchange though? No, it looks like they cannot, and Zeratul has to get out of there once again. Zeratul should probably be maybe pressuring someone who's solo like Zarya. I mean, Zarya is a hard kill for sure, but he would probably have a better time doing that than trying to fight into a team. Zeratul at this stage in the game is not that great a team fighter. He needs Void Prison to separate out a few members so that he can't get focused down, and then he can go in. So, but we see like Miasma isn't giving him that chance. He's always been just focused. They're always grouped together. Nice Blessed Shield coming down, but 4-man, of course, 3 of those Vikings. Stun from ETC comes down. He's just been such a nuisance. Johanna gets saved at the last second. We do see the laser come out, and there is the stage dive, so that they're free to use the Divine Shield on Kerrigan. However, okay, so only Johanna died in this whole exchange. And it looks like the Vikings are splitting off to try to get the advantage once again, and Zeratul is going to soak experience. Now the next goal they have is 13. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, the next advantage they'll have is 13, which they'll try to get. Now how much can the Punisher get done here? It is the second one, so still not the best Punisher, and it is only frozen, so they should be able to get out of this if they're lucky without them taking a fort with this Punisher, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's already down to half health. It's focusing on the gate. Oh, Punisher, why do you do this? And there we go, nothing gained. Rain of Vengeance comes down, catching no one, and Johanna goes down again. Oh my. Johanna really needs to recalibrate her idea of how much she can take. There is a lot of burst on this team between, Tychus's trait and the Kerrigan combo. And just without Johanna's trade up, she cannot go in. Yeah. So they're once again still even on experience, despite losing 2 Punishers, so the game is not over by any means. They can still come back, but Vikings has not shown their value. I think the next time, looks like Oriole might get caught out here. Will they be able to save her? Even the laser dropping down. She needs to get out of the laser's range. Okay, there we go. And they actually get Zarya on the top. And there we go. That's what I was talking about. As a Zeratul, you want to pick out the solo laners. And he finally identifies that and picks out the Zarya. And the 4-man push on the bottom didn't yield any fruit, and they even spent a heroic for it. So we see 3 heroics on cooldown on the side of Miasma, so they need to be super careful about taking fights and shorter cooldowns on R2 side, so they're ready to fight right now. And we actually see Shadow Assault come out from Zeratul, which is really interesting. We don't see any kind of mobile backliners from Miasma, like a Li Ming or something, where you would really want that Shadow Assault to stick on them. So just kind of favoring the extra damage. I think the last time I casted R2, they also did a Zeratul comp with Shadow Assault, so we'll see. Divine Shield had to be blown on ETC before the Shrine phase. Oh no, and they still lose Kerrigan. Like I said, the point of ETC taking the stage dive is so that they can save the Divine Shield. Oh my goodness, and Zarya got picked in the back, Zeratul finding her. I guess that's why you want Shadow Assault. You just want the extra damage to go through the Zarya shields. And yeah, the point of taking stage dive was that so you won't need the Divine Shield and you can use it on Kerrigan. But we can see that what happens when you have to use it on the ETC, Kerrigan just gets killed immediately, just got focused instead. And now R2 is so far ahead in the game suddenly. They were kind of, not doing that well with a Vikings comp and being even in XP. Now they're suddenly 2 levels ahead. They're going to win the race to 16, probably get this Punisher. Here comes a massive stage dive hitting 3 though. And looks like the Aegis manages to save Vala for the time being, but she still goes down. Here comes the Inferno Punisher though, and despite that, Kerrigan goes down again. Well, ETC is going to chase Oriole, but he has to turn back. He has to help his team, and the Vikings split up again. Now, not taking play again, which is kind of the usual one you see in pubs, but he takes probably liking the music from the ship, so took the ship as the ult, and meanwhile the Punisher is getting a little bit of work done. Now we're into the 3rd Punisher. Now is when it starts doing real damage, so they did a nice job of kiting it in between these 2 though, but they don't have the manpower to fight. Look at Zeratul just going in, forcing the Divine Shield again, and look at all these long cooldown ultimates is really hurting Miasma. All their ultimates are on cooldown now, and they can't fight once again. now we kind of see why this draft was so good from R2, and I didn't see this initially either, but their low cooldown ultimates have like 45 seconds for Shadow Assault, 50 seconds for Rain of Vengeance, Blessed Shield is a low cooldown at 60 seconds, Aegis is 60 seconds, so they're almost always ready to fight. I am loving this fight from R2, and look at this, they're 16 already. Stone Skin coming out from Zeratul, which is really unusual, but he's been getting focused down a lot, so he decides that it's the right talent, and I agree with him. The full multi-shot build coming from Vala. No surprise. Even if you don't go the multi-shot build, it is hard to ignore Frost Shot at level 16. It is such a good talent. It lets you stay extra safe, and it slows them for the kills. Great. And especially if you have any executioners on the team, oh, Frost Shot's the best. They do lose a Viking, 2 Vikings, still not the biggest deal. That's still only half a kill. It does get Miasma closer to level 16 though, so they need to be more careful about that. Nice, Rain of Vengeance catching 2. They need to get out of here. They're missing 2 Vikings, and they're still trying to take this fight. Oriel goes down, but so does Kerrigan and Uther. Of course, Uther's in his super healing form now. Wow, Zeratul gets away barely. That Stone Skin saving him. Vala goes down though, but it looks like everyone is dead. It's going to be a 5-man wipe. Look at that Viking ship doing so much work. Zeratul immediately going for extra value here. I really like how Ray Ryan just... He like immediately knows where he needs to be as soon as the fight's over. And this is what I saw from them when they were doing their placements as well. R2 is a team that really has the next step in mind, I would say. I remember one of their placement matches on this map. They just completely dominated the other team with the Zeratul pick and everything. And I didn't think they outdrafted the other team really, but they out-executed them and outmaneuvered them, and this is exactly kind of how we see they got back into the game here, and it has taken the lead. Look at how far ahead they are to level 20. It looks like Miasma is going to try force a fight before they can get 20, which is really smart. But before you know it, look at this. The top wall for Miasma is already down. They can only stall this so long. Even if they get the Punisher, they can't fight with it. With the level 20 advantage, R2 can still kill them with the Punisher on their side. So, however, you know, R2 is only one... Oh, they don't even get the Punisher on Miasma's side. It is really unfortunate. And it looks like nice Graviton Surge there, but the Stasis saving the Vala, and Vala's just trying to dish out as much damage before she falls. And once this again, we see Kerrigan and Uther dying. Tychus is going to be next. No way to run away from that Shadow Assault Zeratul. You can see he didn't even try. And Zariel shouldn't be caught. Zeratul's playing super careful though. He knows a stun from ETC is not what he wants to do, but yeah. Once he sees the burst coming out, and that's a full 5-man wipe. Everyone is dead on Miasma's side. And we see the level 20 talents. This should be the end of the game. Nexus Blades. Just going a full auto attack build on Zeratul. He really likes this build. And Flarflight Quiver from Vala, staying extra safe once again. Instructable Standard. Shield of Hope is still, I think, the best talent probably, or generally the best talent on Oriel. And Vikings looks like, oh, in the boat we can't see his talents, and well played by R2. Wow, that was really a good comeback. I think, you know, they weren't really actually behind statistically at any point, but you know, being behind when the Vikings team, like, they didn't hit 10 first, they hit 10 second with the Vikings team, and that I would consider behind. So, and they completely turned that around. So great job. And look at Vala's hero damage. I'm still kind of confused why they buffed her. She was performing really well on competitive, but then they decided to buff her because I guess her pub numbers weren't doing that well. So now she's just a very, very solid hero for almost all occasions. And Leading in hero damage tells me she did very well managing her hatred stacks. And if she does well, then Oriel does well. So super important. She was kind of playing on behalf of both players. So well done by the Bella there. We see Zarya's stats are bugged out, unfortunately. So couldn't see what she was doing. And then Vikings only lost 4 Vikings total. Of course, that ship does help. That is one thing that play again will not do, is pad that stat. So okay, so we'll see if Miasma can fix the problems they had, and then come back for this is a best of 3 guys because it is pro division. So we'll see if Miasma can make the adjustments and come back in game 2 and bring it to a game 3. Stay with us. I'm going to get the second game set up, so we're just going to go take a short break and we'll be back. And I realized I was muted for that whole spiel. I was saying I am doing Extra Life on November 5th. It is a marathon stream for charity. It's going to go on for 24 plus hours. I'm going to play mostly Heroes of the Storm probably, but maybe some other games. And you can support me by donating. Any amount helps. We have donation incentives, including coaching sessions with some high MMR players if you're looking to improve your game. And even if you don't, please just spread the word, or even just tune in on the day of Extra Life, November 5th, and help me stay awake, because I'm gonna need lots of help. Just keep talking to me and help me out. Okay, whoa, gotta swap some people. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so just waiting for one player to join the game. And we're ready. Okay, so I'm gonna set up the draft. And then we can start that. Who gets this one right? Sorry, my multitasking skills are poor, so I can't talk while I'm giving out the draft links. There we go. So draft links are out, and we are going into game 2 between Miasma and R2. All right, here we go. We saw an exciting game, game 1 on Infernal Shrines. That was R2's map pick. Now we have Miasma's map pick. Let's see what their game plan is on Cursed Hollow. Once again, we have this new fancy drafting screen from Chair League. I don't know if they're working in tandem with Top Drafter or not, or if Super Jova kind of whipped this up himself, but it looks much nicer than Top Drafter, I must say, and it has Zarya in it, so yay, improvements. So we see a first spam Malfurion, which is what I was kind of expecting last map, but last map had a few power heroes like Zul and Sylvanas, which the teams prioritized higher, and Malfurion is actually banned in the second phase, so we'll see what they take, or what Miasma bans first. Of course, having the second pick, oh, they ban out the Zeratul, the Respect ban! Oh, I love seeing this, casting a series where people can adapt to each other's strategies. Zeratul, man, Ray Ryan must be really proud of himself. I've talked to the guy a little bit, and I feel like he probably is very happy with himself getting the Respect to Zeratul ban. And once again, R2 goes with the Vikings. I worked for them last game, why not? They played really well around the Vikings. You know, it took them a while to kind of get into the groove, but once they got ahead, they were ahead, they never let go. And Vikings just, you know, kept them in the game until they could get to that point where they got a couple of picks before a shrine phase, and then snowballed their advantage, and then got 2-level lead, and then they never looked back. In response, though, we see a couple of huge global heroes, Falstad and Abathur. I wonder if we're also going to see a Brightwing this game, just to, you know, complete the common global strat. The only person left, I guess, would kind of be Dahaka after that. So, and we never see Dahaka. I would like to see a Dahaka. I mean, I am a very awful Dahaka player, so seeing some better players pilot Dahaka would probably help me a lot, and it would be different. So casters always like to see different things. So but instead we see Sylvanas. You know, some people debate her effectiveness on this map because she kind of does the same thing as the curse. So during the curse phase, she doesn't really have a trait. Like, you don't need her trait to kill 1 HP minions, and you don't need her trait to disable the buildings anymore, but you know, there's still a large part of the game where your opponent isn't cursed, so she should still get a lot of value. It is a big map, so split pushing is very good, so she can, if she can get some, you know, me time in a lane, she can bring down structures really fast. And we see the Vala pick come out once again from R2. It did a lot of work last game, so no surprise there. We saw that she topped hero damage. With the Oriole Crown, she just kept, you know, getting AoE heals off. And then we saw the Aegis save her a couple of times, and then she managed to get off her Rain of Vengeance and then deal more damage before she died. So yeah, in response we see Miasma banning out the Oriole, not wanting to deal with that combo again. Their bans are really targeted at throwing R2 off their comfort zone from game 1. And so we see a bit of the kind of best of 3 mind games coming out, which is great. And we see a Li Ming ban from R2. Li Ming was ignored by both these teams in both bans and picks last game. So, but of course she's much stronger on this map. It's with a strong poking hero like Li Ming, you can stay safe while denying the tribute from your opponent. And you can probably land things at maximum range. So, not surprised to see Li Ming here. Of course, there's still very strong heroes that haven't been picked here for this map, such as ETC. There are a lot of chokes on Cursed Hollow, and strong pokers like Hammer, like Chromie, haven't been picked. We don't see Chromie that often, but she is very good at the poking game. But she's not a very good laner, so. And we see Greymane. I did not expect this one. Of course, the clone, the double Greymane strat is very good, and once you can get to the core, a double Greymane is very hard to stop. And a double Greymane will kind of pressure squishy backliners like Vala and Sylvanas, and actually Greymane with Wizened Duelist will capitalize on Vikings as well, so this was actually a really great pick by Miasma. We don't see Greymane every game like we used to, but in a situation against Vikings where you have an Abathur on the team, I can definitely see this working out well. Nice pick from Miasma indeed. And then we do see the kind of final popular global hero come out in the Brightwing. This leads me to wonder what Miasma is thinking for their healer. Are they going to go for the Uther again to try to go for a Divine Shield Mosh combo? Once again, the Divine Shield has 2 good targets, ETC and Greymane. You do want to, you know, give it to the Greymane so he can just go in on Vala and Sylvanas, but you know, Mosh is really good once again on this map with the choke points. They have 3 good counters though, in Wailing Arrow, Rain of Vengeance, and Polymorph, so we'll see how they choose to play this if they end up going the Uther again. Now for the last pick, they need a tank. R2 does, and I would say Muradin is probably their most stable pick here. You have an extra stun for the Mosh Pit if you need to. No, they go back once again with Johanna, preferring the lane pressure. The other reason Muradin is really good on this map is because there's a lot of room for you to kind of just try to jump over a wall and disengage and then let your trait heal you back up, putting less pressure on your healers to try to heal you up. So, or you know, in addition to the healers, you can get back into the fight a lot sooner. So, especially with a talent like Third Wind. So, okay, so we need a healer from Miasma. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Uther? Is it going to be Rhaegar? We haven't seen Rhaegar in quite a while. It is going to be the Uther. So now I expect the Divine Shield Mosh probably. Try to get that power slide into a choke, and then just land a game-winning Mosh, and then you go double Greymane onto the core, and should blow it up really, really fast. Okay, so hopefully no disconnects on the hero select screen this time. Okay, so chat, looking at these two lineups, who do you think's gonna win? Now, I mean, just based on R2's play last game, it'd be easy to pick R2 because they were just executed their lineup really well. After Miasma got to an early lead, they just managed to pull it back. So, but we're seeing Miasma's map pick here. So, just thinking about the map and equal skill, who will win again in these lineups? So just a reminder, if you like my cast, please give me a follow. Apparently I'm a Pro Division caster now, so I'm going to be trying to pick up more Pro Division games throughout the weeks, and I'm getting to cast some of the teams I followed right through placements like R2. I'm very excited about that, getting to see kind of old friends again. Very skilled old friends, of course. And yeah, I don't know, I still think... I think Lost Vikings is so powerful on this map though, and with Sylvanas pressure, you really can't split up to deal with the Vikings very well. So, you know, I am going to give this the slight drafting advantage to R2. Once again, both teams have compositions that can win. I've already explained how Miasma can win easily with a Divine Mosh. With a Divine Mosh and the double Grey Mane onto the core. So, and then of course we can't ignore that Gust factor on this map. Gust is super strong on this map because there are two bosses, and Gust is the ultimate boss stealing or boss securing ultimate. So just as long as if they do go mosh, if they coordinate it so that they don't gust during the mosh, that would be really unfortunate. Alright, so once again on Miasma, we have Swollen on ETC, Fox on Falstad, Tantro on Abathur, Axe Maxta with the quite unfortunate name on Greymane, and Starbatter on Uther. On R2, we have the Turk once again on Vikings, Ray Ryan on Sylvanas. He was the Zeratul last game. Saber on Vala. iShrimpe on Johanna this time, and Tips and Tricks on Brightwing. That's interesting. Shrimpe actually was Oriole last game, and now she switched to a tank role. So we'll see how she does there. And it looks like the Sylvanas cheese has begun. This is very common on big maps especially, and they kind of went the lane you wouldn't expect, which is the top one on this map on that side. And they get a free tower, and they get out. Looks like they're not... Oh, actually Sylvanas is gonna get caught. Yes, Sylvanas gets caught. And so First Bloods goes to Miasma, but still they lost the tower, and it looks like Greymane... Oh, Greymane barely gets out. They needed one auto attack to finish off the Greymane and couldn't do it. But, you know, that kill does not matter nearly as much as that tower. So, and look at all this soak they're missing. Mid and bottom. Actually, bottom is being taken care of by Abathur. But Abathur can't even keep this lane pushed out versus this one Viking, I think. Abathur has a very weak early game in terms of laning, so he is going to need help. So this is why I favor Lost Vikings over Abathur on this map. Okay, Sylvanas. They're going for Sylvanas once again, trying to get her off the towers. Get off my lawn, Sylvanas, but looks like she'll survive this time. She's going to tap the well. Interesting, we don't see her saving the well for the tribute, even though it's going to come up before her well is up. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to switch the overlay. I'm going to do that right now. Sorry about that, viewers. Okay, here we go. Alright, so there we go. We see once again Vikings doing a lot of work, just solo soaking the lane, and we see about half a level advantage for R2. And looks like they're going to get this top tower once again, giving them even more XP. And just before the tribute comes up bottom. Now, it's kind of fortunate for them that it came up bottom, I think, Miasma in terms. Although, they didn't leave Falstad up here to soak, so I think this is a misplay from Miasma. They actually, I guess his fly must be down, and it's not good. They don't think it's going to come up before the tribute, so... Oh, look at those mines doing so much work on Vala, and Brightwing isn't there to heal her. Now she's coming, but... You know, Vala's still missing a big chunk of life. Okay, she is going to get all of it back before the fight, though. So, oh, ETC coming in with a nice 3-man W there. And looks like they're just all posturing around, and this favors the Lost Vikings team. We can see that one of the Vikings is just soaking mid the whole time, pressuring their wall, and Vala is just building up her hatred stacks. Once again, I was talking about how Vala manages her hatred is the sign of a good Vala player, and we can see that she's just keeping it up. It's not safe to be poking the opposing enemy, so she's just poking the creeps to keep her stacks up. She does miss that Hungering Arrow, though. And it looks like with that free healing from Brightwing, they're completely kind of out-attritioning Miasma. Yeah, Miasma's going to have to figure out a way to take these fights not using attrition, because Brightwing is, and you know, their level advantage is just going to rock that. Looks like Olaf just walks through like 6 mines and gets destroyed. In the meantime, Sylvanas gets the middle wall. Wow. Okay. And oh, at least they pick up Eric down there. And Balog gets pressure back, but should be okay. And we see a full 1 level lead coming out for R2. And once again, they're pressuring this fort now, and Abathur actually has to get on out of there before he becomes dinner. And here we go. The next tribute comes up, and I feel like, can they even fight for this one? It looks like they're grouping up for a bush, and that's really nice, but Vala gets right out of there. They actually don't chase her and choose to go for Brightwing instead. Brightwing actually makes a nice play to zip on out of there with her teleport. Oh, great job there. Knowing all the stuns were used, and they don't have that many, honestly. They have the Uther stun and the ETZ stun, and that's it. Wow. What a great Houdini escape from the Brightwing, and they got the second tribute on top of that. So now they're on Curse Point, and they're going to have level 10 probably, or they're going to try and get level 10 anyway before Curse Point, and that will be very problematic for Miasma. Oh boy, we can see a quick game 2 here. This is spiraling out of control. And with all this global and Vikings, like Uther just can't out-heal the Brightwing right now, I feel. And this is kind of the main problem, maybe in both games, that Oriole and Brightwing are both free healers. They don't use mana to heal, and just kind of outlast Miasma's team by doing that. Look at all this damage onto the fort. I mean, they got top fort already, and this is a nightmare for Abathur. As an Abathur player, you don't want your walls and your forts going down early, because now you have way less space to work with. You're further away if you don't take the mine talents. It looks like he does go all the mines though, so at least there's that. They do choose to give up the tribute. Even though they have the level 10 advantage, which is interesting for R2, but they didn't get there in time. They chose to get the bottom fort instead. And, you know, this is this is probably a strategical decision where they say, okay, well, a level, like a 6-minute curse isn't going to be that great for us. You know, we can get the boss, and the 6-minute boss isn't going to be that great. Okay, fight's breaking out here, right in the choke. So Faunus goes right in. Nice. She shouldn't be able to chase down that Uther. In the meantime, Falstad gets destroyed in the back end by Strafe and all that Vala damage. Now, they took this fight kind of 11 versus 9. They were kind of surprised they were kind of sitting in the choke point, so I guess that's why. And they were trying to check if they were stealing their boss, and they decided to commit anyway once they were caught. And it looks like it's kind of a full team wipe other than Avathur, but Avathur isn't really doing much right now. Poor Avathur has to sit all the way back here and isn't getting any lane pressure down. Oh, Sylvanas though, getting over. Oh no, Sylvanas escapes on like no health, and Uther ends up going down instead. Oh my goodness. That was a kill that they absolutely needed, and they just couldn't get it. Now, ETC does take stage dive once again, and it is a big map, so there's no surprise there. And we see Gust, we see, well, go for the throat. There really is no other talent taken by Greymane at level 10. So this is a huge curse coming out from R2. We'll see how they manage to do this. Looks like the W build once again from Uther, and look at all this tower damage. Just having the extra Vikings bodies. Oh, there's a huge stage dive though. Just trying to murder the Vikings, but he actually got in the ship in time and actually saves Olaf. Greymane trying to do what he can, and he gets a Divine Shield. Can he pick up a double kill here? No, he gets polyed at the last second. Oh, and that's just the level advantage at work. If, you know, if there was that 8% swing per level around, estimated, if that didn't exist, Greymane would have absolutely killed 2 there. So, and you could argue that, of course, R2 wouldn't have been in that position if they weren't that in this much of a lead, but if they were even 1 level closer, I think Greymane could have gotten a double kill there. So, oh, quite unfortunate. Well, it looks like they're still looking for a fight, despite having Avathur down. And looks like Johanna can be caught here. Not the worst thing for R2. They're still going to be fine. Vikings, in the meantime, stealing this camp up here, just kind of pressuring all around the map. And looks like they didn't take a keep during that curse, which is a bit of a minor miracle for Miasma, to be honest. But, and you know, they're gonna have 13 talents before the next tribute. Now the question is, can they contest this boss? Once again, they have Gust, which is the ultimate boss stealing ultimate. So it looks like R2 is forced to back off here for now. And Johanna is coming. Little do they know that Miasma is actually even further along on their boss. The boss, they actually kept the boss from resetting. Nice play from R2 there. Well done. Because if this boss reset, they'd be way behind in the boss race, but as it is, they get them at the same time. Now, I must mention that Miasma did a great job even getting their own boss. I mean, I guess it was an easy decision once they saw that R2 was doing their boss, but, you know, you see a lot of times in pubs, like, your pub is just kind of standing there, not doing anything, or trying to make a ill-fated contest if, instead of just doing their own boss, so. Okay, nice Emerald win from Brightwing there. She is going to go down, though. Go for the throat, and there's the clone, the Greymane clone, just pressuring Sylvanas back so she can't help her team. 2 go down for R2, and is the start of a comeback for Miasma. Just like we saw a comeback last game, can Miasma turn the tables and do it again? Now we see Wingman taken for Falstad actually, and their boss actually gets the bottom fort. So Miasma won big out of that boss trade. They aren't going to get the tribute, but it's only the first tribute, so not a big problem here for Miasma. And the boss is still going to continue to get damage. Wow, what value Miasma got out of the last couple of minutes. And Falstad actually flies in by himself early, manages to stop the tribute from being taken. I did not think they were going to contest this, but here they are. And R2 is playing very passively now. The kind of what happened in the last few minutes has put a little bit of fear in them, and they are no longer dominating the map. I mean, now all it takes is for a little something to happen on the map for R2 to take this right back. They do have level 16 advantage, though not for much longer. We see Imposing Presence, Hardened Focus, Evasive Fire, and Frost Shot once again, and Impatience is a virtue by the Vikings. Impatience is a virtue, really? Okay. You usually see the Olaf stun here, but that one seems good too. So, and I am not too familiar with the Vikings, so I'm sure this one will work out fine for R2. So that experience gap has closed immensely. It used to be a 3-level lead during the curse when R2 was pushing the keep of Miasma. Now it's down to 1 level around. So great job. And Wizened Duelist is stacking up, I think, for the gray main. We're just going to check that very quickly. Yeah, he's about halfway. So those, like I said, just getting those stacks off the Vikings was a great pick, especially with Abathur on their team. So, the fight over this tribute, it is curse point for Miasma. If they get this, they can get it. They can come right back into the game. Sylvanas gets blown up right away. This Greymane clone's gonna do work pressuring the backline. All the meantime, the real Greymane's just capturing the tribute, and a great Emerald win should disengage, but can Johanna escape? Oh, EDC doesn't want to give up this chase and goes for the stage dive. Great stun by the Johanna. Oh, but couldn't save his buddy right wing. Looks like how much more can they get? Greymane is kind of isolated here and needs to be careful. Looks like they're just gonna go for a fort right off of or keep, sorry, right off of this, and that is a very wise decision. They know, like, with just Vikings and Johanna, how can they possibly stop them? Now, Clone is coming off cooldown in about 20 seconds. Nice Divine Shield to save Greymane. Now he can just go right in, but he's got to come right back out. And Sylvanas actually went in to try to get the kill. But, oh, this is where maybe the Olaf stun would have done a bit more work for them in the team fight, trying to lock down that Greymane and saving their team. Of course, there he had the Divine Shield, so that wasn't going to happen. But after the Divine Shield was out, if he could land the Olaf stun, then Greymane would have died there. So, but look at this. Miasma has come all the way back now. They haven't lost a fort yet. Abathur is growing more and more powerful, and they have completely erased the deficit, and, you know, they're even on keeps. Neither team has lost a keep yet. So, wow, great job by Miasma. And we see Benediction come out for Uther, so he's playing kind of like half piano. Usually we do see Conjurer's Pursuit level 1 for the piano build, but Wave of Light works fine. So yeah, I guess he is just going to piano build, never mind. I stand corrected, so just going for all the buttons. Okay, this party bush. Oh my god. Saber's gonna walk right into it. There's no way she's gonna survive. Oh, they did not expect that. And now this is a keep for sure. Are they gonna try and push more and go for the game? No, they don't get greedy. They just back up, which is a smart decision. I think we've seen many games thrown off of poor core rushes. I casted one last week. With Obsidian Gaming, I believe, or was it that 2 weeks ago on Tomb of the Spider Queen? Yeah, if you go for the core, you have to make sure you can absolutely do it. They decide they're just going to get probably both bosses here. After getting this boss, they can easily get the bottom boss as well while they're defending this one, and they're going to have the level 20 advantage, so they know that they can't fight into them. Are Vikings going to get picked off? Oh no! As soon as they saw the boss taken, they've tried to move back, but it was too late. He was already dead, he just didn't know it yet. Okay. So are they going to try and get another keep here? I feel like that's what they should probably go for, but they're kind of split up here. Alright, they're just going to try to push to end the game with this boss, maybe? Vikings, on the meantime, is trying to pressure bottom with these Sea Shines, but with Abathur kind of hatting the keep, it doesn't look like it's happening. Okay, ETC's forcing the engage, but now he's taking core and tower keep damage, or keep tower damage, and oh, it looks like the clone is being bursted down. Look at all this damage that Strafe has done, and they need to get out of there before they throw away their advantage. Come on, Miasma. We want to see a game 3. Keep it together. Okay, there we go. Well played by Miasma so far. Now, actually, wow, the keep did go down on the bottom. And of course, we saw Abathur had to help out with his clone in the fight up top, and that allowed the Vikings pressure with the Siege Giants to get the bottom keep. So at least there they traded keep for keep, but a trade at this point is just mathematically better for R2 because R2 lost half their keeps and remaining keeps, and Miasma only lost 1/3. So mathematically better. Oh, and Sylvanas was getting caught out once again by this party bush. They have to be super aware. And if we see a game 3, I expect that Ray Ryan will make the adjustment, knowing that Miasma does like to go for these party bush plays. And they need to stick more together. Oh, they sacrifice one of the Vikings to kind of get a scout up. Oh, ETC diving right onto the back lines. Sylvanas once again being so pressured this whole game. It seems like either the Greymane clone or the or ETC has been pressuring her. Greymane though is in a lot of trouble. Is he gonna go down? No. 2 end up going down from R2 instead, and looks like Johanna is bound to be next. Her indestructible can only save her for so long. Brightwing goes down, and this is the game. They're just gonna go core right now. Right? They just go top. Go with the top wave. No? Yes, okay. There we go. And wow, what a comeback. Both games we've seen great comebacks from both teams on completely different maps, kind of using completely different strategies. We saw Miasma adapt their draft a little bit, using the Greymane burst to not allow the sustained healing of Brightwing to do its work. Just double Greymane is just so much pressure for a solo Brightwing to deal with. And once again, I have to kind of question a little bit whether not going the Olaf stun on 16 was the right thing for Vikings. They really needed something to take the pressure off their backline, and just even a mini stun from Olaf could have done it. Look at all this Greymane damage. Oh. Top siege and hero damage, that's when you know you've had a great game. And only 2 deaths as well, so well played by Axmaster. And Abathur actually got a death. But you see Vala, although topping damage on her team, didn't have nearly as easy a game as last game, and that is because, of course, the double Greymane clone, the ETC diving into the back and everything like that. So I'm going to leave the talents up while I set up the next game. Well played from both teams. So we are actually going to go to the game 3. This is my first best of 3 cast for Chair League, and it's going to the best of 3, so quite happy about that. And I will just go to the break screen, and we're going to take a short break. Stay with us if you like the cast. Once again, I apologize for the overlay issue. I will remember to change it next time. But yeah, if you enjoy the cast, please hit the follow button, and I'll see you after the break. Hello and welcome back to Game 3 of Chair League Season 3 Pro Division match between Miasma eSports and R2. We saw R2 take a kind of come from behind victory on Infernal Shrines in Game 1, and we saw Miasma eSports answer in kind with a huge come from behind victory in Game 2 on Cursed Hollow. Miasma eSports, we just saw on Cursed Hollow, was down 3 levels and a talent tier, and actually managed to come all the way back and win the game. So impressive. Miasma eSports has the first pick, and it is R2's map pick once again, and they pick Sky Temple. Now, Miasma last game adapted their draft and respect banned Zeratul and Oriole. This time they respect banned Lost Vikings. Of course, R2 did pick Lost Vikings in both games. And you know what? Miasma just decided, we don't want to deal with this anymore. This is ridiculous. So they just ban it out, and they pick Zeratul first. Once again, Zeratul has a kind of pseudo-global presence where you don't know where he is, so you kind of have to play safe if you're a solo laner anyway, which can cause you to miss a little bit of XP or just not press your advantage as much as you normally would. And we see R2 ban on Zarya, not wanting to deal with the Zarya comp perhaps from the first game. Miasma did go with a Zarya Uther Kerrigan comp, which caused a lot of trouble at the beginning actually of the game, but R2 managed to come back and take that game. So we see Tassadar. Is that an Illidan pick coming? No, just Vala so far. So you see Tassadar, Vala. It's interesting to see a Tassadar first pick. I wonder what they're setting up for. Common pairings are Illidan, Tracer. Those would be the 2 most common ones, so we'll see if they're just worried. Maybe they're just denying it from Miasma, thinking they're going to go Illidan. Illidan is a very popular pick on this map, even dating to last year. C9, I believe, actually tried a no-tank Illidan comp, Illidan Superman comp on this map. They lost, I think, but I think the comp had merit, so I don't expect either of these teams to try something crazy like that, though. We see Sylvanas Oriole for Miasma eSports. Sylvanas can get a lot of poison damage out with her Black Dagger to give Oriole energy, and if she hits a lot of heroes and resets the cooldown faster with it, it can give quite a bit of consistent energy to Oriole, so this is an interesting pairing, and they can still pick one more good pairing with her, like a Lunara or something as well. So we're entering the second ban phase. Actually, let's talk a little bit more about Sylvanas Wideskin on this map. This is a map where, there's kind of a hard time limit in the game, built into the game because of the objectives deal direct damage to your buildings. So kind of any extra damage you can get onto the buildings without using the temples is going to shorten that timer for your opponent. So, and Sylvanas does exactly that. If she can get a good push off, you've just saved yourself from having to, fight through another temple phase or something like that. So okay, so we do see the Lunara ban, worried about that pairing with Oriole. Lunariel, of course, was really popular back when Oriole first came out and was kind of the de facto first pick healer. She's been nerfed quite a bit, and other heroes have seen some resurgence, so that we don't see that quite as often. Now, the other pairing that is quite common with Oriole back in the day, well, I say back in the day, this was like a month ago maybe, or a month and a half ago, was Cho'Gall, and I want to see if Miasma is going to pull that out. On such a big map, such as Sky Temple, Cho'Gall isn't the greatest though, because you have one less body to kind of occupy the temples, take camps, etc. So we will see if that's what they have in mind though. We see the Brightwing ban from Miasma, scared of the global. They didn't they're not worried about the Falstad as much, it looks like, possibly because they have a Zeratul who can kind of, pressure the Falstad if he chooses the solo lane, and because they already have a Vala, which almost kind of occupies the same role in a team fight, so they didn't think Falstad was going to come up from him, and they knew they needed a healer, so they just banned out the Brightwing. However, this gives R2 kind of the strongest, question mark, healer in the game right now in Malfurion. He's just a walking well with his Innervate. He can shorten cooldowns for people, he can give them mana, he can give them health, and Chen. This is the first time we've seen him in the series, and before the nerfs, he was really strong. Good Chen players were just dominating. He's a lane dominator, one-on-one. He just doesn't lose, basically. He loses to Sonya and like not much else, and he's just a beast. So, and in the team fights, he's so disruptive. With the buff to his Panda Pals in one of the last major patches, it's been nerfed a bit since then, but well, the nerf was indirect from his just base health, but Chen just does a huge amount of damage with the Panda Pals, so I'm kind of liking that he was picked up here. Tassadar doesn't have to worry about Chen too much. His drinking gives Malfurion's time, heal over time to work. This comp may lack a little bit of damage currently, but that doesn't have to be a problem. Chen can actually deal out a lot of damage as a tank. And now we finally see a Muradin. So surprised that, in the third game is when we see our first Muradin pick. Usually he's like a first pick. We see that a lot in even Korea, where they just first pick Muradin because he's such a stable, solid tank. It doesn't give any strategy away. You know exactly what you're going to get from a Muradin every game, basically. He can kite in and out, he can stun, he has so much control, he can build for damage even, he has so much survivability, and he takes a lot of pressure off your healer, because he can just kind of jump out and heal up himself, so. And then we see a Tychus. Very good against Chen, with his base health. Still wondering if we're gonna see the Odin. We see in the game 1 that they lost. Miasma eSports took the laser on the Chen, and there we go. They get an Illidan last pick for R2, and he is someone who can solo camps and just start putting a lot of lane pressure. And on this map, lane pressure is sort of important. Like I said, free structure damage will often just win you the game, so because if you get the free structure damage, you can get an experience advantage, and then if you have an experience advantage, Illidan becomes way harder to kill. He just reaches this point in a fight where you don't have enough damage to kill him, and he can just chase down all your members and snowball off of that. So and with the experience advantage, of course, then they can fight on the temples easier, and when that happens, then there's less of a chance of them throwing the game because they're ending it quicker with that free free structure damage I described earlier. So, and how that works on this map. So we will see. Someone like I fully expect Void Prison to come out from Zeratul this time. No way, Shadow. We're gonna see 2 Shadow Assaults in one series, right? From different teams and different players even. I'll be very surprised. And here we go. We're gonna start the game. I'm going to remember to switch the overlay before I forget. And once again, we are in Game 3. We are tied 1-1 between Miasma and R2. Both of these teams have shown great resilience and great skill, coming from behind, playing from behind, and coming back to win their respective games. So I'm very excited about this map. We see very high skill heroes, kind of like Illidan. Let's see how many spells he can and big ults he can dodge. We see a Zeratul who you know, timing the Void Prism right, placing it right is very important. We see a Chen for the first time. We see Muradin. Muradin's also quite good against Chen because, you know, you can, with 2 stuns, if you take the stun at level 16, you can stop his drinking. So, and you need to stop Chen's drinking if you want to win against Chen. So, okay, here we go. Swollen on Muradin, Fox on Sylvanas, Axemaster on Tychus, Starbatter on Oriole, and Tantro on Zeratul. And on R2, we have Ray Ryan on Illidan, the Turk on Tassadar, Tips and Tricks on Chen, Saber on Vala, and I Shrimpy on back into her healing role on Malfurion. Last game we actually saw I Shrimpy switch onto a tank role on Johanna, and now it looks like she switched back. Looks like they sent 3 people down here to try and get some free damage with Sylvanas. Oh, there comes the 4th, so here comes the rest of the team. Now, will they get out without any casualties? It looks like they... Oh no, that huge root from Malfurion catches 2, and that secures the kill on Tychus. Now, they didn't get a fort, get a tower, but they did do a lot of damage, and it allowed them to soak a bit in the other lane. Zeratul is just not interested in a 5-on-5 fight, as he shouldn't be. It's very squishy at the beginning of the game. So he just does what he can. Puts a little bit of pressure mid and then goes off. Quickly rotates. So it looks like they're interested in keeping the Tassadar versus the Zeratul matchup. It's interesting that the Zeratul is a solo laner. You usually want him rotating around, killing the solo laners, not being a solo laner himself. I mean, he does okay with his cleave and regen master. If he took that, no, he took block. We see regen master falling out of favor, so not surprised. Okay, so Illidan gets stunned here, and the shield doesn't look like it's enough to keep him in the fight yet, but with another shield, he might think about going in. Of course, without leeching plasma yet, really can't do that much. Can't really go that ham yet. And it looks like a Chen versus Tychus bottom, and it looks like, oh nice, grenading him when he's drinking, and Tychus beats Chen in this one-on-one. Excuse me, I thought Chen would do okay, and it looks like they gave up another kill top Illidan, and this is kind of the problem with Illidan Tassadar lineups, and maybe we don't see them quite as often, is that it takes them a while to get online. Tassadar really needs kind of level 7 before he becomes a great support. And Illidan works better when he gets a few levels as well. So these early fights really doesn't favor him because he needs Metamorphosis to dodge, you know, some extra stuns or whatever it is. And oh, look at that 2-man cleave from Zeratul, really pressuring the Malfurion, but she gets a shield from Tassadar, and he makes the escape. It looks like both temples kind of going to Miasma at this point. And Tychus actually takes the bigger they are against a solo tank lineup, but that solo tank, of course, is Chen, so reasonable. You see Thunderburn for Muradin, Majestic Span, just going for kind of the safe Oreo build. Vorpal Blade for Zeratul, that's pretty standard. Lost Soul over phone cover. Okay, so we see pretty standard stuff coming out of Miasma as to their talents. On the side of R2, we see the Fire Flame Breath build coming from Chen. Friend or Foe Immolation, pretty standard. Frost Shot, going to be the multi-shot build once again from Vala. Looks like there's an invade. They know Illidan's going to try to solo these camps, and they totally come in and say, nope, this is ours. Very smart shot calling from Miasma there. They knew Illidan would be doing this camp. That's what Illidans do. That's their some of their contribution to in the early phase. So great job. We see Shando's Clarity and Loon's Grace for Malfurion. Pretty common build we see there as well. And of course Leeching Plasma and Conjurer's Pursuit for Tassadar. Now I recently saw a petition from a Redditor. Oh, Chen gets actually picked off, sorry I missed that. from Meriden. They send 3 up there, Zeratul and Oriole, to get him. Sorry, I saw recently a post on Reddit begging them to rework Tassadar's talents, because all Tassadars pretty much 99% of the time go the same build, and we see the same build coming out here. So, no surprises. Zeratul's actually scouting out. Is he he's just setting up a flank onto the Malfurion? No, he's just scouting. Okay. But if Malfurion steps out, oh, he's got to get back. Oh, I don't think that was the right way to walk. Okay, hey, Shrimpy does realize her mistake, but too late. She was slowed enough that she could not get out. However, they are going to be late to this bottom lane, so quite a few shots will be soaked up by R2. Just less than half, but they can fight this with Malfurion being down, so they're just going to back off. Like I said, they have lots of time to come back into the game, as long as they don't give up a huge advantage, because they have the Illidan lineup. You don't want Illidan playing from behind most of the time, so as long as you don't fall too far behind, they should be able to come back. Both Tassadar and Illidan are great late game heroes, especially relative to their early game. So, and it looks like, yeah, Miasma gets back all the shots. They're half a level to level 10, so they are winning that race quite well. But I think R2 could get level 10 before the next temple, as long as they don't give up too many more kills. Now you see Zeratul's up here soaking for level 10, and as soon as they reach level 10, he should come down and force a fight. There's no longer a benefit to soaking that much. The jump from 10 to 11 is not nearly as big as 9 to 10, so they really should be pushing down a fort, just, you know, trying to press their luck at this point, I think, to exacerbate their lead. And here we go, there's a gathering, sort of? Nope. They're just splitting off still. And it looks like, yeah, here you go, they pressure the fort bottom, so they're gonna get that, probably, yeah. Despite Tassadar's best efforts to shield it, just not enough. And we see the value of the Sylvanas pick coming out there. Just with that level lead, with the heroic advantage, they managed to get a fort without, you know, using a temple, so this will help them a lot in their game plan. Okay, so another huge invade. Laser coming down, of course. Oh, Panda Pal's coming out from Chen. Is he going to use it? Yes, he is. And this was kind of the wrong time to fight for Miasma. They came in just as R2 hit level 10, but all the Panda Pals are getting very low. Remember, if these all die, Chen actually dies. But no, he did escape with one of them. The wind being, oh my god, that's strafe value. Holy cow. But all Valid does go down for it. They traded away for Oriole though, so still better for R2. What a fight from them. And they're not done yet. Illidan, once again, he gets to that point where he just can't die in the fight, and he has the ultimate chaser, so Tychus goes down too. Tassadar needs to be a little bit careful. There we go. Let Chen tank it. That's what he's for. That's great. Oh my god, but that strafe was hitting 4 people the whole time. Just caught them out in a choke. And yeah, that was just kind of, even though the first invade by Miasma was such great timing and a great shot call by their captain to invade knowing Illidan was going to be alone, that one was a little bit greedy, and the timing just wasn't right because R2 just got the heroics and they were ready to fight. And credit to R2 as well, just knowing that, you know, they wanted to fight right then, or they, you know, there's a possibility of them being invaded. Maybe they caught wind of it on the minimap. I didn't quite see if they did. And just completely turned this game around. They're even on levels now, about half a level behind on experience, still quite a bit behind in structural damage. They're gonna get this one actually, so, you know, they're only about half a fort behind in terms of structural damage. And of course, this is a 2-resource game, XP and structure hit points, so they are completely back into this game. And they could just leave Illidan to do a camp by himself now and try to pressure different parts of the map. It looks like, oh, are they posturing for a boss here, Miasma? This is really dangerous. I mean, there's nowhere else they could be on the map, so R2 must know that they're doing this. If you do this, you should probably leave up one of the mercenary camps to try and pretend like you could be somewhere else and doing something else. But, you know, it's not seeing them in lanes and not seeing them and knowing that they already took the mercenary camps, where else could they be? So Miasma kind of gave away their position by deduction. And yeah, R2 just came down. They're not going to let this boss. And actually, R2 is the one trying to keep the Bosch unleashed. And they think they can take this. We'll see what happens. All heroics are up for both sides. So this is going to be a huge fight. And the Void Prison was beautiful just before taking it. And Illidan actually goes down. The Tranquility couldn't even reach him. And Chen goes down as well. Oh, what a big mistake. The throw pit was real. And, you know, R2 could have just let that boss leash, and neither team would have gotten the boss. They would have just both kind of backed off and, you know, just, you know, hey, we were never here, you were never here. We could have just pretend this never happened, but they chose to keep the boss interested, keep it in play, and they ended up losing with a huge Void Prism by that Zeratul. Wow. And that is why we used to see Zeratul like first picked all the time, even because Void Prison was so nasty and so game-winning, and we just saw an example of a game-winning Void Prison. Alright, so back and forth we go. These teams are well matched. Of course, R2's perfect record in the Pro Division is on the line. They're 3-0. So this could be their first loss to Miasma eSports. And, oh, looks like Oriole is caught out. That strafe was interesting. Kind of a waste, I'd say, but they end up getting Oriole in the end, so, you know, that will take a bit off the cooldown. And they did trade it for Aegis, so not the worst. Void Prison is coming in, though. It is cooling down, so they should be careful unless some other crazy Void Prison play happens. Alright, let's look at the Spray and Pray for Tychus at level 13. We usually see a defensive talent at 13 for Tychus, but I guess he feels they need more damage. But we do see Spell Shield coming out from Sylvanas. Of course, Illidan is mostly, despite kind of common misconception, Illidan is mostly spell damage with his Immolation and on that 16 especially marked for death. Like, so Spell Shield will do some work. We see Wormhole, Converging Force. Converging Force, that's an interesting one. Oh, looks like Panda Pals gets used mid. I guess it was forced out of the Chen. They kind of set up a gank on him, and he didn't feel safe enough, so had to use the Panda Pals. That's unfortunate. It'll be down for quite a long time. You can see that the timer for that ultimate is quite long. And, well, continuing our talents, we're on to level 16 talents now. So I'm quite behind on this. Armor Piercing Rounds, once again, just going the full damage build. We usually see the Titan Grenade. But thinking that Illidan is just going to be in space the whole time, I kind of like this talent build from Tychus. And give him the Axe by Muradin. Just, wow, they just really want to blow someone up right away with the vulnerability from Sylvanas and Wrath of Heaven. Who's he choosing to put the crown on in that case? Probably Zeratul. Just get all the damage off the initial burst. Look at Muradin set up already for this possible invasion. I think it'd be a little risky to go for this. Yeah, okay, it's too late anyway. And there's a nice force wall to make sure they can disengage properly. So there's the mark for death, enough to share. Interesting. So I guess he's going to be in front with Illidan, so giving Illidan even more shields. Wow, he's going to be super safe. And actually, Tassadar took Shrink Ray instead of Prescience at level 13. He hasn't been feeling any pressure, and with a double healer comp, He's not too worried about dying with Dimensional Warp, so he just goes Shrink Ray, which is great. I mean, it really minimizes the effectiveness of all these damage talents that Tychus took. And we see the hunt from Illidan. How did I not pick up on that one before? And, oh, the Strafe just doing so much damage, and Oriel goes down. The Tranquility actually isn't healing anybody in the Void Prison, but they don't need to. They have a 2-man advantage now, and back and forth we go. Meanwhile, Sylvanas is actually taking a keep down here, which means that I think R2 has to be... are going for the game here. There are 2 people up, so, I mean, at the very least, they have to take this keep. But if they get 2 more kills, they can easily get the game, and Zeratul already working on top. Sylvanas is back here now, realizing this is their game plan. They have to go for the game. This is exciting. Of course, Illidan is the best core rusher in the game. Nice 4-man Wailing Arrow, but Tassadar does manage to escape. Can he keep... He just needs to shield Illidan. Illidan is kind of the only hero that matters at this point. Can they do it? Chen's adding his Breath of Fire damage, but they can't. No! 4%! Oh no! And now they're just gonna go through with that... Keep that Sylvanas opened up. Now they're just gonna go core themselves. Oh my goodness, 4%, and the offensive GG coming out from Miasma, knowing this is the game. Wow, unbelievable. Now, who's going to come up first? It's going to be Vala, Malfurion, and Tassadar. Tassadar can try to delay a bit with the shield, but it's not going to be fast enough. No, he's not even going to get back in time. Wow, what a game. We saw 4%. If they didn't spend the time hitting this tower and maybe the fountain or something, I don't know. I don't know where they lost that 4%, but I feel like maybe they could have done it. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. That was insane. I thought they were going to do it. Illidan is notoriously hard to pin down during a core rush, and I think I have to... If there was a game-saving play, it was that 4-man Wailing Arrow at the end on the core. She just found that R2 was grouped up slightly too much, and then landed the perfect Wailing Arrow to save the game. Unbelievable job by Sylvanas, who also died 0 times. If you've watched this stream, you know that I like to give shoutouts to people who die 0 times in a game, and we have 2 of them this game, Sylvanas and Mirrodin, and Sylvanas also top siege and hero damage. So, I mean, people say you can't carry in this game, but Sylvanas did some work. And Mirrodin, kind of expect him to get a no-death game. You don't see it, you know, super often. You do see it about half the time, though. He is just really tanky, and he has an escape. But he did go give him the axe at 16, so he was doing a lot of work as well in terms of damage. But that didn't start until level 16, so... But he ended up doing more hero damage than Zeratul, actually. But, of course, Zeratul did have that mega Void Prison at the boss. Once again, you know, if you could pinpoint a couple of the turning points in the game, that boss fight where R2 decided to keep the boss in play, did not let it leash, and then just, you know, have both teams back off. They thought they could get the boss, and then that Void Prism from Tantro to steal the boss was sublime. It was just crazy. And then, you know, it kept going back and forth. There was that one fight on the bottom where R2 came back before that boss fight and just completely came back and evened up the game, and then gave it all back in the boss fight. And then once again, that decision making at the end by Sylvanas, where she gets the keep when they were down 2 people. R2 chooses not to send anybody to deal with her, to pressure her off the keep. they push with their 2-man advantage to try and end the game. Sylvanas lands a 4-man wailing arrow to save the game, and then the game ended from there. Oh, and the core just lives at 4%. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna say that is the best game of Chair League I've casted thus far in Season 3. Oh, I only started casting in Season 3, but yeah, that's the best game of HOTS I've casted ever. That was insane. Okay. So, congratulations to Miasma. They go to 5-2 in the Pro Division. R2, unfortunately, are handed their first loss, 3-1. I have never casted one of their losses. I don't think they've lost in the season of Chair League, even through their placement. So unfortunately for them, hopefully they can bounce back next week. I'm going to try and follow them. Ray Ryan, I talk to him sometimes and play with him sometimes throughout the week. So I know a couple of these guys. So I'm going to try and follow R2, maybe Miasma as well. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked the cast, please give me a follow, and I will see you throughout the week. I am off tomorrow, but I will have a game on Wednesday and Thursday as well. So I will see you throughout the week. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to the players for playing and giving us such an exciting series and game. Thank you.